Oh man. So, should I tell them where they are? You stumbled into a podcast. You stumbled into a magical podcast. It's the Binge-Watchers podcast with your truly Johnny Spoiler. I only spoil the movies I love. I'm joined by my effervescent co-host, the Savage Scream Queen herself, Jordan Savage, who can review a movie without having seen it. That's how savage she is. She did something more animalistic.
Savage.
She just dropped like 2 seconds ago, right before I hit record. She's like, should we talk about this? Because I was watching the wrong movie until the middle of the afternoon. I was like, yeah, you should definitely tell our entire audience about this. So the movie of the week is an 80s fantasy movie because it's fantasy movies all month long. And we're doing the NeverEnding Story classic. How did you pick the wrong movie?
So talking about stumbling into a podcast, that was me stumbling into the wrong movie. You had dropped a sequel to me midweek, and I'm like so turned around right now in my entire life. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is like he's getting me the movie that we're watching this week.
Like because sometimes studios will give us their movies that are coming out in case we're going to review them or to suggest them to people.
Right.
I was like,
but I wasn't thinking. And I made it like 3/4 through the first movie, not the sequel that you shared me. And I was like, wait, this is not fantasy like at all. I was like, this is like really gory. And I luckily saw your reel in your video that you sent me. And I was like, oh my God, I have to watch the NeverEnding Story before we pod tonight. So
I've been pretty good lately about telling people at the end of the previous episode what is for next week. I'm pretty sure we talked about it. We talked about the dog dragon. Like we discussed some things.
We did, yeah. So that was just me completely forgetting our entire conversation and just like, being a dumb idiot. So we're here though. We made it.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Cannonballs? The summer is not about the size of those cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends, Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs the summer has ever seen. When you're out of that cookout, let the meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready and not sweaty by going to manscaped.com and using code BWPOD for 20% off and free shipping. To play the Manscaped promo right there about cannonballs, I cut off the sound of the chugging drinks or whatever that we have in the theme song, where it's like opening a can. I don't know. But look, I do have my sneak patented rabbit cup. My little
so cool
shaker with the radioactive rabbit on it. I have to ask them what they call this thing. I mean, it's a rabbit, clearly. I'm sure it has like some name. Because to me, it looks like it's. It's like a healthy energy drink, but to me, it looks radioactive. So that I'm like, should I call it radioactive? I don't know. But speaking about nuclear things, Godzilla now has a channel on Pluto TV. It's like 24/7 Godzilla movies, all the classics and the cartoons or the cartoon movie they made. Pluto TV is like overload. It's like if you want to be like what do they call that? Like when you're it's overstimulated, right? Like because how much Godzilla could one person possibly take?
Apparently enough for an entire channel or whatever, you know.
All right, don't tell my parents, but there was one time where I skipped school and pretended to be sick just so I could watch Godzilla on Turner Classic Movies.
See?
So because they were doing an all-day marathon on like AMC or something, and I was like, oh yeah, got the illness. yeah. And don't tell my kids they can pull that. No, we're gonna watch Godzilla. They don't watch Godzilla. That's unfortunate. I'll have to turn on Pluto TV. I'll like now I have something to watch on the like. I was gonna date our show, but I try not to date it. But yeah, like maybe we're recording near the 4th of July American holiday. And
maybe
there's like one movie. I'll bring it up later. I'll bring up the movie that I watched later. But you could spend all day watching Godzilla. I guess Godzilla could be any holiday. Could be Canada's Boxing Day. Could be Celery Day. I don't know. I don't know what you celebrate. Holidays are dumb. But whatever. Whatever you get at it, whatever you like. If they shut down the whole world for a day in your country, watch Godzilla on Pluto TV. All the movies are there. Just because, look, I guess it's because I'm singing the praises of Godzilla, right? Like, I just want a giant radioactive lizard from the ocean.
I'm here for it.
I guess that's my
I'm a reptile lady, so bring it on.
She did well. I mean, listen. We don't know where the last name Savage must come from. Some bloodthirsty pirates, and like,
I have a scaly lizard
she's a scream
on my
queen,
arm.
and so it's like it all lines up. That Jordan's a cold-blooded killer. Just matter of facts, just dropping facts. I once saw a picture of her with a knife strapped to her chest, so I
always have the knife strapped to my chest.
Oh man. Do you know who Greta Gerwig is? You had to have seen like her movies, probably.
I mean, I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
But continue.
I will continue. She's actually in the remake of Arthur, which is a comedy, a famous comedy, but they remade it with Russell Brand, and she plays the love interest. Which is also in an independent movie that's pretty good. I think it's called Hannah Takes the Stairs. She's also in a movie.
Did she not do Barbie?
Yeah, she's about to make Barbie's about to come out, and I think she's the director of Barbie.
Yeah.
I think she's also connected to Noah Baumbach, who's like Noah Baumbach. He's like an independent filmmaker. Squid and the Whale. It's probably his. Squid and the Whale is really good. She might do a new Chronicles of Narnia and for Netflix, like 2 movies. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, BBC TV did like a TV miniseries. It was either the 80s or the 90s, and it's really good. And they adapted like a few of the books. But do you know about Narnia? It's like there's a talking lion, and he fights a witch.
I watched very little of the Chronicles of Narnia.
So it's like set there in World War II, and there's like 4 siblings, and they get pulled through like a dimensional doorway or something, and then they help like these woodland creatures fight a witch. And I mean, they say it's an allegory for Christianity, but I don't know. I mean, people look at C.S. Carroll, I think is the name of the writer, or Lewis Carroll. Is it C.S. Lewis? Damn, I should have written it down. I'm just like picking my brain for the name of the writer. Anyway, Narnia is cool as shit. The BBC miniseries is really entertaining. Later on, they have like a cousin that shows up, and there's like a mouse that's like a sword fighting mouse. And then their descendant, then time travels weirdly for them, so they're like normal teenagers, but then time in Narnia is like their entire lifetimes. And then at one point they go back, but they're older, so they can't help, and they need their cousin who's younger helps Prince Caspian, who's one of their descendants or whatever. Anyway, it would be cool to see some new ones. I mean, they in the 2000s, the early 2000s, they did do a couple of remakes of them. They made movies.
Well, I've been watching way too many Barbie videos about the set and stuff, and if she pulled off such a cool set for the Barbie mansion. I cannot wait to see this movie. And if she can be so spot on with the Barbie movie, I feel like she could do something incredibly cool with something that's more fantasy based. So I'm all here for it. I bet it will be really, really cool to watch.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like my it's gonna sound contrary. It's like the closer we get to the release of Barbie, the less I am excited for the Barbie movie. Does that make any sense? Like when we announced it, I was like, "This looks funny," and now I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's finally coming out." Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I could not be more excited, but also I'm a 31-year-old female, so I feel like this is,
How does it go? You're a Barbie girl with a Barbie dream. How does it go? Barbie girl living in a Barbie world or something?
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Yeah.
Oh shit, she knows it.
Wrapped in plastic. It's fantastic.
Oh man, that's coming out, folks. Do you know you like space cartoons? Do you know the Solar Opposites? Did you watch that about the alien family?
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
It is chock full of movie references. A lot of 80s and 90s movie references. Some stuff we've already covered, some stuff we haven't gotten to yet, but chock full of them. So if anything, for the funny TV and movie references, it's worth checking out.
Perfect.
It's like two dude aliens, but then they also have like clones of themselves that are like a teenage boy and a teenage girl. And they also have this thing that's like a creature that they're supposed to keep alive long enough to terraform, like take over a planet or something. But it's really kind of twisted. It's called the Solar Opposites. They have a 4th season coming out. They did a really funny like holiday episode for Halloween, and they also did one for Christmas. And it's very like it's like a cartoon that knows it's a cartoon. I mean, it's from the Rick and Morty creators, so it's like very like on the nose humor. Like anyway, what else is going on? We might be talking about the NeverEnding Story if you were listening to the beginning of the episode. Jordan's watching all kinds of other movies. How do I explain the NeverEnding Story? So there's a magic book. If you read it, you can actually shape how the story gets told, and as the story affects your life, you can also affect the story. And then in this one, it's like Bastion, he kind of learns how to make decisions and kind of finds courage by reading the book and getting over his issues. But the book is filled with like these amazing characters like Atreyu, right? Who fights this kind of all-consuming nothingness, which I'm not sure. The nothingness is either like depression, sadness, boredom. I guess all negative emotions rolled into like a life force. I mean, this thing's open to your interpretation. I don't know how it's described in the book. I should also mention you. Well, Jordan's probably going to tell you it's based on a book, but it has amazing characters. I mean, you got Falcor, who's like he's supposed to be based on like a Chinese luck dragon, but he looks like a dog. So pretty much everybody that I grew up with has referred to him as the dog dragon or the movie with the dog dragon because it's the only movie that's a dragon that looks like a dog. The childlike Empress, who's supposed to be like super old, but she looks like she's 12 or 8 or 9.
11. She's 11, technically.
Oh, she's specifically 11? See, Jordan's dropping facts already. She is 11. Rockbiter, who's like a dude who's made out of mountains. And, in part 2, he has a kid. Little Rockbiter Jr. Then there's the Nighthawk, who's like a weird-looking Mad Hatter type dude. And no, wait. Actually, the Snow Rider looks more like the Mad Hatter. But, this guy rides a bat, which is pretty cool. And then there's like a classic line in the movie, "Face me, Gamork." And Gamork, I've always said it as like Gamog, but it's spelled Gmork. So it's
Gamork.
Suggests to me like it should be like Gamork, but I've always just said Gamog. Basically, it's like a wolf, dire wolf, super wolf, a wolf on steroids. The nothing takes form and sends its agent of destruction out, and it's in the shape of a wolf that Atreyu has to fight. Man, I almost gave away one of my favorite bits. Whoops. You got some stats on the NeverEnding Story, or did I ruin all of them?
No, I mean, I do have some stats. The thing is that we could go on and on for like hours about.
Yeah, this movie could be a 3-hour encyclopedia discussion.
It really could, because this, I feel like, has to be hands down like one of the most well-known and popular fantasy films, maybe of all time, dare I say. I mean, even Korn, like labeled a whole album called The Nothingness. What is it? What do they call it in the movie? But it's
both are acceptable, I guess.
Because he was still suffering, like one of the main guys of the band was like still suffering from the loss of like his estranged ex-wife, and so was kind of battling with that. Like we said, it's about depression and all those things. And of course, it's a book, the kid's reading the book and he's trying to face his challenges and he's battling, like facing his challenges with the fantasy. He's supposed to like keep his feet on the ground and the real plane, and he's battling his characters in the fictional book at the same time. But I just kind of picked some savage stats that I thought kind of stuck out to me throughout while reading pages and pages of facts. But there was a rumor that the horse that played Artax had actually died during the filming of this movie. This movie has like a long rap sheet of injuries that had actually happened while filming this movie. A lot of them happened to poor Noah Hathaway, and one of them actually made him unconscious. But contrary to the rumor, the horse that played Artax did not actually die during the filming of the Swamp Sadness scene. I thought he was going to come back as a unicorn or something. So I'm glad that this movie always kept me on my toes. But there's 2 identical horses that were used for the scene. They were professionally trained by a horse handler. And during the movie, they're actually like completely submerged in the swamp. So I'm curious if that had a lot to do with the horse possibly being thought of as passing away or dying. The crew would alternate between the 2 of them. Both horses remained unscathed, which is pretty cool. Which is not really that fun of a fact, but I just think it's really wild that there's like a whole rumor going on that a horse actually died during the filming of this movie.
Yeah.
During a convention,
that's how devastating that scene is to
it was
humans.
really sad. Yeah. Well, and it's kind of the thing about the swamp itself is that it's called the Swamp of Sadness, and if you like succumb to the sadness of the swamp, then that's what actually takes you. And so I don't know, I was hoping for something a little bit more hopeful. I thought I had this movie pegged during that scene. I was like, he's gonna come out of this, he's gonna be like unscathed and come back as a unicorn or something, and I was wrong. So I did like that a lot. But during a convention appearance at Dragon Con in 2010, Noah Hathaway revealed that they used virtually none of his recorded dialogue and instead hired a different actor to dub his lines. So Hathaway's voice is actually rather higher than what the movie sounds like, and actually doesn't have an accent. And so I feel like you can kind of see some of that in the lines where it like definitely looks like it's dubbed or like the audio doesn't actually match.
So he played Atreyu, if you're wondering, folks. He's Atreyu.
He is Atreyu. Which
I didn't know that. I never noticed that.
I noticed a couple times where I'm like, I didn't know if maybe my internet wasn't like caught up to the buffer or whatever. But you can kind of tell in a couple different scenes, like the mouth and the audio isn't moving 100%. But Atreyu,
does it say whether they wanted him to seem older or younger, or they didn't say why they did it?
They didn't indicate, but. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I should look a little deeper into that. Atreyu's name also became like the basis of the name Atreides in like the books Dune, apparently. I don't know. Fact check me. Let me know later. But that's what I read.
I don't know. I don't know what was written first. I don't know. NeverEnding Story came out before Dune. I don't know.
Because
there's a band called Atreyu.
Wow. There's so much pop culture that's referenced from this movie, and it makes sense because it's definitely got a stronghold in everything. The Simpsons did a bunch of
that stuff. Dragon pops up in all kinds of stuff. I think he's in Family Guy at one point.
Makes sense.
My friend was sharing with me. Have you seen the picture going around on Facebook where they found one of the mechanical puppets that played the dog dragon or whatever? Like one of the animatronics was found somewhere. Yeah.
Huh. Well, and I hear that you can like actually go see the animatronic dragon Luck Dragon in Germany, because that's where they take place a lot of like filming for this. So it's possible.
Whoa.
Maybe there's
So Falcor's really out there somewhere. That's crazy.
Yeah, which is super wild. And I'm like a huge fan of Easter eggs in movies. Like, I think it's pretty cool if they like incorporate other movies or like other dimensions or other, fictional stuff inside scenes. But it states that during the first Ivory Tower scene, when the group of Fantasians are gathered all together, if you look really closely, you'll see characters such as Yoda, Mickey Mouse, Chewbacca, C-3PO, the Ewoks, E.T., and Gumby. But I don't know. I went back to look, and I could see a few of them, and I'm like, I don't know if this is just coincidence, but I don't know. I think that kind of stuff is cool. But we could spend all day talking about stats and
I wonder if they're suggesting that like his imagination is like slipping those characters into the Fantasia world. I don't know. I know what's going on. We'll be right back with our favorite bits after I go to some messages because I find this video file. Go to these messages, and then we'll be back. Eventually.
Here
we go. Cannonballs? This summer, it's not about the size of those cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends at Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs this summer has ever seen. When you're at the cookout, let the meat speak for itself with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. It's time to get ready and not sweaty by going to manscaped.com and using code BWPOD for 20% off and free shipping. You know what? Before I had like the lawnmower from Manscaped, we're using like a bunch of hair removers, like the creams, and they burn like a 3rd-degree sunburn in a sensitive area. You don't want that. Anyway, so the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to guarantee you'll have the most mouth-watering treats at the party. They've built the ultimate bundle for your summer grooming. Their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. That's what we're looking for, folks. Advanced skin-safe technology. At least I am. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock and give you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It's all about a more precise shave, let me tell you what. Now, you can feel like you're safe wearing a low-cut swimsuit without any any stragglers peeking out there. You can use Manscaped's liquid formulations, basically the ball freshness versions of cracking open a cold one. Now, they've got the crop preserver ball deodorant, keeping you cool from sunrise to sunset. I've used that. It's pretty good stuff, guys. Manscaped can even throw in 2 free gifts for you for their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. As a treat, you should add in the Crop Mops to your order. It's a moist towelette made specifically for your beach balls. It's the best midday refresher to stop your popsicle from melting. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code BWPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And use that code BWPOD. Manscaped is a perfect way to get your patties sizzling hot this summer. Look, we've all heard of Netflix and chill, but sometimes it's not easy to chill when you're dealing with ED. That's where Eddie, a revolutionary device designed to help with symptoms of erectile dysfunction, comes in. Designed by urologists, Eddie is an FDA Class 2 medical device that's been shown to help men increase intimacy levels with their partners. If you're looking for an easy way to boost your confidence in the sheets, give Eddie a try and put your performance anxiety to bed. Right now, you can save 20% on Eddie. Go to buyeddy.com/binge-watchers and use our code 20, you'll get 20% off if you use code BINGE20. Use BINGE20 for 20% off, and then fast forward your way past performance issues and try Eddie today. Feel different? Drink Sneak. With active ingredients for energy, focus, and concentration, Sneak helps you do more of what you love for longer. It's actually a sugar-free energy formula. Sneak is an energy drink that we've been trying out. And I posted it on the website. It's in the podcast. We talk about it. One of my favorite flavors is Tropic Killer. That's what's in this bottle. If you're watching the video, yeah, you can see that I got one right here, baby. Let's take a little sip. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Sneak energy. Each serving contains 150 milligrams of caffeine. It's basically like 2 cups of coffee. But they did the math and they figured out that you're only spending like $1 a serving, which beats the cost of traditional energy drinks. It's a clean energy formula. Go ahead and grab the Sneak Energy link in our show notes. Grab our affiliate link off the website. Try it out for yourself. Then there's a new movie coming out that I was supposed to mention. And it's the movie that Jordan was watching on accident for tonight's movie instead of NeverEnding Story. She started watching Wrath of Becky. All right, 2 years ago, after escaping an attack on her family, Becky's attempted to rebuild her life. But when her home was broken into by a group called the Noblemen, and they take her beloved dog, Diego, she returns to her old ways to protect herself. Yeah, this is a sequel to Becky, if anybody's wondering. It's considered literally a bloody good time, says the Austin Chronicle. The Wrath of Becky, starring Lulu Wilson and Sean William Scott, is now available to buy or rent. What do you think so far?
Well, I was starting Becky. I made it like 90% of the way through Becky. But we can get to that when we get to
when we get to your staff pick, you can tell me what you think of Becky. So we're back with favorite bits from the NeverEnding Story. I got a few. Let's see what Jordan thinks once she actually got to consume the correct story.
It was such a game changer once we got to meet the Empress. Like, she had actually consolidated the whole movie for me. I
was about to say she's the anchor. She anchors the two stories together that are happening simultaneously.
Well, and I just was like, okay, which makes sense. And I actually really liked
were you tired of like, look at these little boys. The little boys are heroes. There's no girl that they.
No, not at all. I just didn't really I love the hero story, right? Where Atreyu is like going through his battles and he's really trying to serve the princess, Empress. And it's really like the whole moral of the story is like, don't give up, keep trying, even when you're like facing failure. But like, she really like kind of yoked the whole movie together for me, and the emotion that she brought to, like, she's crying because she wants, Bastion to be able to just like wish and wonder, and like that was a really like beautiful part of the story, and that's like what sold it on me. I just was like, okay, well, why does everybody talk about this? I don't understand. And then once she came into the story, I was like, oh, I get it now. So that was like,
why does everybody love the NeverEnding Story?
But keep in mind, like, I'm a little bit younger than like the demographic that this would have like totally hit it home for. And so I've actually, this is like not the first time I tried to watch the movie. I've tried to watch this movie like multiple times. And I just can't get through that first scene with like all the characters, and they're like, the nothingness is coming. And like, you haven't even gone to like, you haven't really gotten anywhere. And like, it loses me in that spot. But like, it brought me back when the Empress was brought.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a writer's block or if it's everything in life that affects our feelings as humans or our functionality as humans, or if it's as easy as boredom or it's just a non-preferred task. So, but like Oblivion being the villain is quite an amazing thing. And like you said, like there's probably a group of young people that saw Atreyu at the age they were running around the woods pretending to be a character like Atreyu, and so they can relate. Like Atreyu is my favorite character, but there's like two major scenes, like the Swamp of Sadness, as you mentioned, with the horse is one of them. And then later on, where he has to pass through the iconic shot of the two laser-eyed statues and correctly get through their gaze without getting killed. I mean, I was, and the face me Gamork or Gamok. I mean, it's like fighting the wolf is a pretty iconic scene when the nothing's about to get, or nothingness is about to get.
I think that was the one that like knocked him unconscious too. Like a claw had like hit him and just like rendered him completely
during the stunt, that's how he got knocked out.
They had to do that in one take because one of the claws on the creature knocked him
out. He's like an artist in real life, and like I don't want to only talk to him about NeverEnding Story, but I want to ask him. Like I know he does the conventions. The child like Empress is getting back into acting, and she has a movie coming out, so she's actually doing Q&As for NeverEnding Story with like a screening of her new movie or whatever. But it's like they were, I mean, if you're an iconic star in an iconic movie, like how many times you probably get the same question about the same movie, right?
Well, like imagine him being a tattoo artist and like just trying to like have a career doing that, and people are just like probably coming.
They're like, "Yo, bro, did you really get your horse in that swamp?" Yeah. And I don't want to name drop, but he follows me on Instagram. Okay, like we follow each other. Respect. Anyway, completely arbitrary. However, there's also a scene in the movie where Atreyu realizes that he's like a non-playable character. Right? What's a non-playable character? It's like a character in Dungeons and Dragons who you can't play, or like any video game. An NPC. In fact, Ryan Reynolds made a whole movie called like what is it called? Freehold, Free Game, Free Man? I don't know. About a non-playable character like having self-realization and you know what I mean, and coming to life. But cool. Yeah, there's a moment where Atreyu also realizes that like he's being written by somebody else's story, you know, and that he can't complete his quest because he's never gonna win because it's up to some other dude, which is really funny because if you ever have like a crisis, like a crisis of faith, or you're sitting down and pondering the universe, and like, well, modern philosophers are arguing with spiritual people about like, are we a simulation of a simulation, or we accelerated evolution by aliens, or are we actually, you know, did some divine being drop us here and make us alive? So the idea that like a character in a movie goes, or I guess a character in the book, I mean, he doesn't know it's a movie also. That would be really trippy if they went like even further back.
It's like
it's not just a book you're reading, Bastion. It's also a Hollywood movie. Like that'd be nuts. But yeah, so when the moment like they wrote in where Atreyu basically realizes that like he's not in control of his own fate, and his entire character is about having the willpower to continue, and then to realize in one moment where your willpower doesn't matter because somebody else is in control of your fate. Like, the back of my head is burning right now talking about it. Like, all the muscles in my head tightened up really bad, and I have like a tension headache, but specifically to like right here, like where this, you know, like where your lymph nodes are. Like, yeah. That's how intensely I think about what it means for Atreyu to realize he's a non-playable being, or he's not in control of his own fate. And listen, life is a super roller coaster. Like you feel like $1 million one day, and then you feel like you get hit by a truck the next day, and like life is so up and down, and your life changes drastically between decades, and you are your core person, but then your experiences screw with you and take you away from like your core path, right? So literally, these things that affect us in life could be applied to what happens in the plot of the NeverEnding Story, right? So, oh man, but that's really deep. Like Jordan said, we could be here for 3 hours, you know,
forever. Yeah. That's why it's called the NeverEnding Story. Is that it just keeps going.
But you know that feeling when I'm talking about? Like sometimes you feel like you're making choices, and that you're really getting ahead of something, and then things will happen to you in life where you go like, oh, somebody else has written this down in a book that they're reading, right? Like there's a NeverEnding Story of John or Jordan or the listener out there. Like, you know, you feel like, oh, wait, I thought I was writing the book of my life. And then no, somebody's already written the next chapter in the epilogue because like something comes out of like left field, right? And it shocks your system to the core, and you have to deal with a problem that you're like, why would this problem be manifested? Because like it comes out of like, what if it's a problem that comes out of nowhere, and you're like, this is going to affect everything. And if I was in control of that, I wouldn't have done that to myself. Right?
If I was writing this story, this would not be a part of it. It's why we have what we call main character energy now. Like sometimes you are the main character of your own life and your own story. And sometimes you're a supporting role. It's freaking crazy.
Dang.
That's why you gotta try to be, main character energy all the time.
Obviously, you know how I'm gonna read it. It's easy.
I do know. I feel like this is almost like an obligatory binge now. Our ratings are binge now, put it at the top of your list. Binge later, you'll get around to it eventually. Binge never, do not waste your time. But this has to be like an obligatory binge now for me, just because of like how iconic it is. And I was like, I don't know if
like
I miss it because of my age.
The whole like the all the film critics and all the film fans would like rise up against you and lynch you.
Oh yeah, like are coming. Someone's gonna be knocking on my door tonight.
Yeah.
But it's like once the Empress was like looped into the story, I was like, oh, like I'm really moved by this now, and so I like wish I would have been brought up during this era because it would have been like absolutely iconic for me. But it's still a really good watch. So binge now. What would you rate it, John?
You know, I think I'm gonna have to really give it a hard rating. I'm gonna have to really think about this one. Binge now.
Yeah.
Again, top 25 movies from childhood can really do no wrong. I even like part 2. If you're stumbling around my Instagram, you know that I have both physical DVDs. There is a part 3. Believe it or not, there is a part 3 where what's his name? Jack Black plays the villain and gets his hands on the NeverEnding Story, and so he's like unwriting all the good things and making it horrible. This all happens in one. By the way, I think it's literally one book where this all happens in, like where he loses control of the story. But Bastian goes into the book and becomes the king of Fantasia, and then fucks it all up. Like he becomes like an adult. Like, do you remember how the dad is so specific? That's what I'm saying. Like the philosophy of life is all contained within this one story. Like how we lose like control of our ideals, how our experiences change us, how we get to adulthood and like we deal with all these devastating things, and then we just, man.
You grow up and then you become the villain.
Yeah, which is in a Batman line, which is the profound line from Dark Knight, where he's like, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain or something like that.
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart playing Two-Face says that line right before he becomes Two-Face. It's Harvey Dent is the character, anyway.
Harvey Dent.
But yeah, I mean, gosh, I want to go back and read the book again. But anyway, where are we? Oh, we did ratings. Yeah, binge now. Got a little emotional. Fan service. If we watched other movies besides the movie of the week, what can we suggest to the audience? All right.
Watched Becky.
Oh, yeah. A home invasion where the daughter turns it on the invaders is Becky. And now there's a sequel, which we mentioned earlier.
Holy cow. The gore. I was like, they win for it in this movie. And then to watch what is his name? Kevin James. I'm like, this is a freaking mall cop. And he's playing some sort of like white
playing against type. It's like cast against his type, yeah.
Which he does such a fantastic job. Like he's truly, there's like a little sprinkle of like almost comedy in it. Like you can kind of tell like that's not who he is to his core, but he does it so well. Like he's this like neo-Nazi, almost like white supremacist man, and I am just like floored. He's scary. He's scared.
I want to see how they develop a sequel. I mean, I'm happy to tell people that it's out there and they should take a look at it. But I haven't watched it yet, so I'm intrigued to see. And I'll have to say more about it, next week when I get around to it. But do you have a like 4th of July movie or show that you like watch every year? Do you have like a ritual? Do you watch anything?
No, it's
No?
typically nothing having to do with movies. Like Christmas and Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
Halloween, that's my movie watching season. I don't really have like a 4th of July ritual. Do you have one?
Yeah, I watch a Canadian play an American teenager fighting a werewolf preacher in Silver Bullet. I watch Corey Haim
Hmm.
fighting a werewolf every year on
I
the
was
4th
like,
of July.
this is not Independence Day. Okay.
I feel so patriotic watching a Canadian play an American fighting a werewolf with fireworks. That's the thing. He climbs out of his bedroom window and he's cruising around. His uncle builds him a motorized wheelchair because he's handicapable or whatever, and he's like a disabled, and then and not a mental disability like the rest of us. He's got a physical handicap, but they build him this thing called the Silver Bullet, which is like literally like a really souped up lawnmower engine attached to his wheelchair, and it runs out of gas like on a bridge in the middle of a full moon, and like the werewolf shows up, but he has his bag of fireworks that he's been setting off, right?
So he fights a werewolf
with the fireworks. Yeah.
Dang.
Does
he become a werewolf?
Who? Corey Haim?
Yeah, the person in the wheelchair.
Who plays Marty? I think his character named Marty? Yeah, I think so. So him and his sister take on. They find out that the town preacher is the werewolf, and then
so
they're like, this dude. Yeah, they're like, this dude has access to like everyone in town. You know what I mean? So it's this big power struggle between the three of them for the movie. But hey, Gary Busey shows up as the Uncle Red, and like helps him make silver bullets. It's also an iconic movie, but for different reasons, different from the NeverEnding Story. The other thing is, there is a movie called Independence Day, but it's about aliens. But you know, it's Will Smith, it's Bill Pullman, it's Vivica A. Fox. There's a lot of people in this movie. Brent Spiner from Star Trek plays the crazy scientist at Area 51. Jeff Goldblum plays a scientist. And Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith fight aliens. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that one I was alive to see that one in theaters, actually, with some of my family one 4th of July, because I think they're like, well, if it's Independence Day, we better make sure it comes out on Independence Day. Oh, and Russell Quaid. Is that the brother? Yeah, Dennis Quaid's the guy we saw in the military movie where they were escorting him to jail. Yeah, I think it is. Randy, sorry, I called him Russell. Randy Quaid. I'm glad I was able to correct that and not send that off into
the
universe
digital
as a permanent recording.
Like, stays
Randy
forever
Quaid
and ever.
Randy Quaid plays a farmer pilot who gets into the fight with the aliens in his airplane, to redeem himself in front of his kids, and it's good.
You've really opened my eyes to 4th of July being a holiday, a movie day. So yeah. I cannot wait to see a few.
I mean, let's be honest. Will I be drunk? Maybe. Will I start drinking as soon as the sun rises? I don't know.
Stay.
Who knows?
I'm kidding.
It'll be a stay drunk. It'll be like a drink. It'll be like a drink through. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, wait. I didn't talk about our fans. Our fans are. Well, I mean, I'm glad they buy some of the. Look, our sponsors and affiliates keep us trucking along. They keep us existing as a show, so we appreciate the fact that you guys want to buy things you're interested in buying if you hear them and you actually think you want to get the lawnmower or whatever we're talking about. Like the Manscaped thing or like the energy drink stuff or whatever. However, I feel like some of our fans kind of leave creepy messages every once in a while.
I don't see them.
Because they're all I'm generating this energy and I'm bringing all the creeps. Like
I don't know, either share the creepery or
of all places, a lot of it happens on my LinkedIn comments.
That doesn't surprise me.
I made a video where I'm spinning around here in the little basement studio thing, and so it's just like the video is spinning with me, but then the comments is like about my feet. I'm like, oh, I can imagine Johnny's feet moving really fast and his little feet just running wild. And I'm just like, So what you got from the video with me with the classical music, Beethoven or whatever playing, and like the words, the name of the podcast, like the whole point of the video is to suggest people like, oh, there's a lot of good energy around this podcast. Let's go take a look at it. It's kinetic energy, right? It's moving and shaking. That was what you, instead of taking away, let me take a look at this podcast.
They're thinking about your toes.
Let's imagine what his feet are doing. I'm like, so it's always sexual. It's not even like it's not even like a handshake. It's like not even normal. It's always
sexual.
About
your toes. Yeah. Gotta go get yourself another pedicure and film it for the fans or something.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't have. I mean, it's not like I posted a feet video. You know what I'm saying?
I know you did. I
was like, if anything, you talk about how my hair looks shampooed. That'd be more acceptable. I don't think I'm wearing my glasses so you can actually see my eyeballs. But from that dizzy video effect, I didn't think that was the furthest thing from my mind. You know what I mean? And they put it, it's really funny how social media can bring things to another place.
It really can. Yeah.
Man.
People, just leave a review. Send in a video submission. Tell us your favorite scary movie.
I have to say I love our creepers because that means they're out there and they're real and they're writing comments and they're not bots. So, what do you? Yeah, but on the same hand, it's like
beggars can't be choosers. But still, maybe tell us your scary movie instead.
Yeah,
favorite scary movie.
Now I'm worried they're taking screenshots.
They probably are. It's a John Foot collage.
I've heard other podcasters. I've heard other comedians talk about wiki feet, like getting stuck on wiki feet because somebody sees their feet in a podcast or something.
We're calling it Only Toes.
Oh shit. Yeah. I also watched. Listen, I know this episode's getting long, but I want to bitch about The Bear season 2 because I sung the praises of season 1 so badly. Like I basically won people over by how well I sung the praises of season 1. Season 2 has so many useless celebrity cameos that I'm like, they're watering down the drama. And then
isn't Pete Davidson in it? What does he have to do with anything?
No, John Mulaney, also a comedian. He's in it. But yeah, he plays one of the relatives. And then there's a famous actress. She is in a lot of the American Horror Story stuff. And she played a lawyer in the O.J. Simpson drama that FX did. She's in a lot of FX stuff. I can't think of what her name is.
Sarah Paulson?
Sarah Paulson, yeah. She shows up as this cousin's wife or whatever. But then, then the mother, they keep mentioning that the mother's still alive. So the story, folks, if you didn't hear the other episodes where we're talking about the bear, is the little brother is a successful chef at a top-rated restaurant in New York City. The older brother has a roast beef shop that's kind of infamous in their neighborhood in Chicago. The older brother commits suicide, leaves the restaurant to the little brother. The little brother comes back home, has to deal with all the dysfunctions of his family. Him and the sister are co-owners. Their pseudo-cousin works for them and doesn't want to change anything, but the little brother wants to make it a better restaurant, etc. Drama ensues, right? We praised it because it was like a working kitchen. If you ever had a job washing dishes or making food at a regular kitchen, this felt like a real thing.
Relatable.
Yeah. And, it's produced by a couple chefs and then a really great actor from Justin Michaels. What's his name? He's in the American version of this drama about a family. Sorry. Gosh, I should. I was gonna make the reference. I'm forgetting the name of the actor.
Succession?
It doesn't matter. No, not Succession. He's in Shameless. He's one of the brothers in Shameless, but then he's in this show. Anyway, my whole point is they bring in gosh, what's her name? She was in Halloween. She plays the old
Jamie
sister.
Lee Curtis?
Yeah, thank you. So Jamie Lee Curtis shows up as the mom of Bear in season 2 at a family dinner, holiday dinner, whatever. And that episode specifically is filled with 7 other actors that are well known. And you're just like, man, Oliver Platt is already the one uncle who kind of gives them money and kind of has faith in them, but not really. And then anyway, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 celebrities, including remember how the cousin has an ex-wife and he has a daughter? And so he's always talking about problems with her. Well, we see her and she's a star from freaking the Community show. So it's like, what the hell, man? I'm because then you begin to get taken out of what seemed like a very real grounded show.
And then you're diluted.
Celebrity. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, so the celebrities watch this first season win awards.
And then now the show is too,
as we said, you said something on the last episode, when a show or movie is too big for its bridges or it's too popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's happening to this really great show that was over here that nobody was paying attention to. Then it won all the critical awards and everybody paid attention to it. And then it's kind of this happens every once in a while. It's all of a sudden the celebrities are really excited about it. The acting community gets excited about it and they want to be a part of it. And then it's not but they didn't add anything to the material. They diluted it, Anyway.
Exactly. And it would have been better made by almost nobody, and just kept authentic. I like the one chef that's in it. What is his name? Matt.
Oh, Matty Matherson, who's from Canada. He's a real chef. He's one of the producers of the show. It's him and his buddies.
I love his Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems fun, a fun dude. I only know him from being on podcasts and listening to the podcast he's on, so I don't know much about him, obviously. But he is a really nice character in the show. You meet some of Fac's relatives too, so
cool.
I'm not saying is season 2. I mean, yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I've watched the whole season. So now I'm worried. By the end of the season, it's how much if they kind of written themselves into a corner because it's eventually they have to have a successful restaurant. Otherwise, what are we invested for? But once you have a successful restaurant, how much more drama do you have? Right. So by the end of season 2, they're really digging for the drama. And then also they just had a ton of celebrity cameos. So I'm like, oh man.
Is this it?
Yeah. But there's a story for the cousin. There's the redemption of the cousin character who's played by this amazing actor. Again, I can't think of any actors' names tonight. Sorry.
I just remember him from Girls because he plays the bitch ass boyfriend from Girls.
No. I thought that was No, you're confusing him with somebody else. You're confusing him with I don't think he is in Girls.
He is in Girls. He is in Girls. He's not he's not the girl. He's not Lena Dunham's boyfriend. He's another minor character.
Oh, you're saying he pops up in there too? I didn't know
that. Yeah. He's in Girls, but he's not the main dude.
I only know Adam Driver. So you're saying he's not Adam Driver boyfriend?
He's not Adam Driver. Yeah,
you're saying
he's another minor character's boyfriend. Yeah, and he plays this total simp in Girls, but he was memorable in Girls. So
the cousin's character arc is probably the best because where he goes, where he's coming from, what he's trying to accomplish, and what's stacked against him is pretty good. So anyway, I do want to see. I mean, you could watch it all, right? Because they did that thing where they dumped the premiere and they dumped the rest of them. So yeah, I mean, eventually, I'd love to hear Jordan's opinion on the whole on season 2, but
I will be watching it for sure. I actually never finished the last couple episodes of season 1. I bank some of my TV.
Breaking my heart.
Well, Witcher just came out with season 3, and
you're fudging the lines. You're yeah, I'll watch Bear.
I just don't want it to be over. That's the thing with me.
Next week we have another classic fantasy movie that you're gonna be oh, I recognize that person from old school back in the day actors. It'll be dusting off their careers. Excalibur, another pinnacle fantasy movie. Crazy stuff. I mean, the special effects at the time, it was considered standing in the field, but obviously, it's 35 years later, 40 years or 50 years, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's it's not going to be, the rotoscoping is not going to look as good. Has Helen Mirren playing Morgana Le Fay, and she's the twisted half sister of Merlin. Or no, Arthur. Is she Arthur's sister? Yeah. She's Arthur Yeah, she's the Pendragon. Yeah. She's Arthur's half-sister. I think that's right in the mythology. And then wants to get revenge on him. Gets manipulated by Merlin and then has a beef with Merlin. And Merlin's played like a really classic British actor whose name escapes me again. Sorry. This is one of those nights I'm not writing anything down.
I gotta be at IMDb on the fly.
All I know is Merlin has a cool skull cap made out of metal and he throws fire in the air and like a bunch of crazy shit happens. And also you see like a teenage Arthur like wrestle with the fact that he's got to be king and take over all this stuff. And then you meet his knights. And best Lancelot you've ever seen, and this guy's a maniac, and I wish I knew his name. I'll make sure that I tell you his name next week. But like you really feel like the affair between him and Guinevere happened. Spoiler alert. All right. This is the dark, true book, this is like based on late Arthur Morte or whatever, the French novel poem. And so it's got all the dirt, all the affairs, all the rivalries between the knights.
Juicy deeds.
Yeah, all the juicy deeds. So, Excalibur's dripping with drama. I never thought I would say that. That's not usually how the movie is described. Excalibur is dripping. Like, that's funny. Jordan a map to see this movie, though. Make sure she watches the right movie.
Yeah, you literally need to just send it to me directly. I'm an
Poster
idiot.
link. Poster link.
Yes. Yeah, I was so confused. I would have spent all day today watching Becky and then The Wrath of Becky, and then I would have showed up this afternoon
and reported on Becky. That'd have been cool too. That'd have been really funny. Like that's what becomes of the episode.
You know what? Stay tuned because I think it's bound to happen. Where I'm going to show up to tonight's podcast not knowing what movie we're talking about. So,
man,
yeah.